I was only 16 years old on that fateful night. My friend Daniel had insisted that I spend the night at his house while his parents were out of town. I agreed eagerly, looking forward to a night of games and fun. I rode my bike to his house as night fell, parking it in the dark yard before slipping in. Through the back door, Daniel and I had a blast playing video games, munching on popcorn and candy as time flew by. Around 10 o'clock, bored with the games, we decided to make some prank calls to pass the time. Daniel called a few pizza places, and when it was my turn, I dialed random numbers hoping to reach someone at home. On the fourth try, someone answered. A deep, gravelly voice responded with a simple, "Yes," instead of the usual hello. Daniel chuckled in the background, egging me on. I was nervous, stuttering over my words before bursting into laughter. I'd never made a prank call before, and my inexperience quickly showed. The man on the other end remained silent, which helped me regain my composure and proceed with the prank. I asked if he would lend me a wheel from his car, making up a random name. His response sent chills down my spine. "What's your name, kid?" "Bob," I replied. "Bob, huh? You sure it's not Daniel?" That's when it hit me. I glanced at Daniel, who looked as terrified as I felt. I hung up immediately, not wanting to prolong the conversation with that stranger. "Daniel, who was that?" I asked, my heart racing. He went pale, staring at the caller ID. "It showed my dad's name," he muttered, confused. We decided to search online to find out how someone could identify our name just by the phone number. It was a disconcerting situation, especially since Daniel was too young to be on any personal information sharing websites. Our online search yielded no answers. Without a solution, we decided not to bother Daniel's father, who was out of town. We opted to sleep in the living room and resume the movie we had started earlier. The tranquility was soon shattered by the sound of the front door opening. The doorknob turned, but the lock prevented it from opening fully. Daniel turned off the TV, and I rushed to the window to peek out. I pulled the curtains back slightly and saw a tall man outside. He noticed the movement of the curtains and turned to look directly at me. Terrified, I quickly pulled the curtains shut and hurried back to the kitchen, where Daniel was already waiting. We heard the backyard gate open, located outside the kitchen window. "Darn," whispered Daniel. "I forgot to lock the back door." He motioned for me to run and lock the back door. I walked down the hallway toward the back door but stopped abruptly when I saw a silhouette outside. It seemed like he was peering directly into the house. I swallowed hard as he opened the door and stepped inside. I silently returned to the kitchen and signaled for Daniel to follow me upstairs. We entered his room as quietly as possible, closing the door to avoid making noise. Daniel crawled under the bed, hiding beneath the fabric that covered the space underneath. We heard the doors downstairs open slowly, each step getting closer to the stairs. Finally, the sound of footsteps echoed through the hallway, indicating that the man was right outside Daniel's room. Daniel's breathing grew too loud, and I had to cover his mouth with my hand to keep him quiet. We remained still for so long that I began to doubt if the man was still there. I removed my hand from his mouth and whispered in his ear, "Do you think we can run?" Before Daniel could reply, a terrifying scream filled the room. Daniel had been dragged out from under the bed. My eyes searched desperately for something to use as a weapon, and I spotted a screwdriver on the bedside table. Without hesitation, I ran to the man and plunged the screwdriver into his back. He let go of Daniel with a scream of agony, giving us time to flee the house as quickly as possible. Venturing out onto the road would be risky, so we hid in the tree line of the forest, watching the house from a distance. The back door opened as the man stepped outside, searching the yard for something. My heart raced as he scanned the tree line. Fortunately, it was too dark for him to see us clearly. However, he turned his head in our direction, prompting me to duck behind a bush. "Daniel, he's coming," I whispered. Daniel agreed, his voice filled with fear. Dude, we need to run. Our sole objective was to escape, so we ran through the forest, the leaves crunching beneath our feet, betraying our position. When Daniel stumbled over something, I crouched down beside him, hoping we had run far enough. However, it didn't take more than 20 seconds for us to hear fast footsteps coming from the direction we had just traveled. The footsteps slowed down just 2 trees, away from us as we lay flat, on our stomachs in the leaves. Minutes dragged by as we waited in silence. Finally, the footsteps moved in another direction, and we ran back to the house, ensuring all the doors were locked before calling the police. While we waited in the darkened living room, Daniel kept watch at the windows, the shadows outside making it difficult to see. Suddenly, a crazy idea struck me. I turned on the backyard lights. In the distance, near the forest, I spotted the man standing in front of a massive tree. He disappeared into the darkness as soon as he realized we had seen him. That was the last time we saw the man. 5 years have passed since that terrifying night, and thankfully, nothing else has happened. I always wonder if that incident was related to the prank call or just a terrifying coincidence. Everyone needs a bit of laughter and joy in their lives, and friends are perfect for bringing that light. Let me tell you about my friends, my close partners. This story has haunted my thoughts for years and is easily one of the scariest things I've ever experienced. I wish I could erase it from my memory. Every now and then, it sneaks back into my mind, sending shivers down my spine. The story begins on a typical Friday, marking the end of a tiring week. Like many teenagers, we decided to plan an overnight stay for the weekend. My friends, whom I'll call Sarah and Ben to protect their identities, agreed instantly. We went home excitedly, discussing what we would do and where we would go, as you would expect. That's when Sarah suggested we have the sleepover at her house. After grabbing our stuff, I packed my backpack with toiletries, a sleeping bag, a change of clothes, and all the essentials for a night away from home. I messaged Sarah and Ben, confirming that my parents were okay with it and that I was ready. We were pumped. Sarah said she would meet us at the park near her house, just a short walk away. I arrived at the park in about 10 minutes and saw Sarah and Ben already there, waving to them. We walked together to her house. We settled in by spreading our sleeping bags in the living room, since Sarah's room was too small for all of us. It was past midnight, and it had started to rain lightly. We spent time laughing and reminiscing funny school moments from that day. Eventually, I suggested we try to sleep, mentioning how late it was and how tired I felt. Ben agreed, joking that the bad weather made it perfect for sleeping. We all laughed together, and gradually, the conversation faded into silence as we surrendered to sleep. Except I couldn't sleep. Tossing and turning, I tried to find a comfortable position, but sleep eluded me. I lay there, staring at the ceiling. I noticed Sarah and Ben were already fast asleep and quietly got up, heading to the kitchen to get some water. That's when I heard a strange noise. It was faint and hard to identify at first, coming from the direction of the living room. Sneaking back, trying not to wake Sarah and Ben, I tried to identify the source of the noise. The living room where we were sleeping had a large window near the entrance. The noise, a scratching sound, seemed to be coming from that window. My heart raced as I debated what to do. Curiosity won out and I decided to investigate. Approaching the window, I noticed the curtains were partially closed, hiding whatever was making the noise on the other side. I pressed my ear against the cold glass, trying to make out the sounds mixed with the rain outside. The sound was irregular, like something was struggling to move. Slow, heavy breathing also mingled with the night's noise. I was frozen with fear, unable to speak or move. After a moment, I managed to pull away from the window and ran to wake Sarah and Ben, my heart pounding wildly. "What's going on?" they murmured, their voices heavy with sleep. "Shh, listen," I urgently whispered. But that was when the strange noises stopped. Ben rubbed his eyes and said there was nothing there. I explained what I had heard, but they seemed skeptical. Frustrated, I almost shouted, but Sarah suggested, "Why not check it out?" Go outside. Reluctantly, I agreed. Okay, I'll go, but you're coming with me. We tiptoed to the door and quietly stepped outside, heading straight for the window. But there was nothing. No sign of anyone or anything, Ben scoffed. See? Nothing. You're just scaring yourself. We were about to dismiss everything when suddenly, Ben froze and whispered, Wait, who's that person? We all turned to see a shadowy figure standing a few houses away, barely visible in the dim streetlight. The person seemed of average height, wrapped in a trench coat, blending into the night. For a moment, Sarah and I locked eyes. Our earlier doubts vanished as the figure just stood there watching us, then let out a chilling laugh that cut through the night's silence. Instinctively, I whispered, Backyard gate. Now, silently we approached the gate, our eyes fixed on the mysterious figure who remained motionless. Then, without warning, the figure darted towards us, running full speed. Time seemed to slow down as we panicked, realizing the real danger closing in fast. We ran as fast as we could towards the gate. I was the last to pass through, quickly locking it behind us. The man pounded on the gate with a loud thud, but it didn't give way. The gate, along with the fence, was too high for him to climb. Then he started banging on the gate even harder, shouting threats that sent chills down my spine. Get out of there, and I'll end you, you stupid kids. His words echoed in the darkness, reinforcing the terror we felt. We wasted no time and ran to Sarah's back door, urgently waking up her parents. They rushed outside only to find the man already fleeing down the street. Sarah's father didn't hesitate. He yelled after the fleeing figure and immediately called the police. The police arrived quickly, and while 3 searched the neighborhood, 1 stayed behind to question us. They found nothing except a long, sharp kitchen knife abandoned near the front garden, which chilled me even more. When asked for a description, all I could recall was the height and the trench coat he wore. After that night, the man disappeared without a trace. The police discovered dirty boot prints near the front door, a haunting reminder of the night's events. The most unsettling part is that Sarah's house is old, and the idea of someone spying on us through a window, maybe even a peephole, is terrifying. Thank you for watching until here. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next ones. See you soon.